Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tribe of Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Emmy Kirschner. I am just beyond excited to be having Cheldin Barlatt Rumer back on the show again today. She is my first repeat guest, and I interviewed her right at the beginning when I started this podcast, and it's amazing what just a year can do in changing your leadership. In this episode, Cheldin and I talk about how she had to really focus and choose one direction and one thing to focus on, and that caused her to have a major pivot in her business. Now, I love Cheldin. Cheldin is vivacious. She's amazing. She's inspiring. You want to get up and just have a dance party with her, and I know you're going to love all of the value bombs that she has to share with you today. My name is Emmy Kirschner. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. The one thing that I get asked all the time is, how do you achieve success in business and make an impact? In each episode of the Tribe of Leaders podcast, you'll hear from entrepreneurs and visionaries who share how their leadership has changed not only their lives, but the lives of everybody around them. Hey, could you do me a quick favor? Take a screenshot of this podcast episode right now and post it on your Instagram and tag me and anybody else who you think could benefit from it, especially if you've been finding value. I'm so grateful for you listening. Oh my God, everybody. I am beyond excited to welcome back. You're already laughing, Cheldin.
I am. I love you. That is the best intro ever. Oh, I love it.
Oh my God, right? He starts their podcast with that. Everybody, if you did not hear Cheldin Barlatt Rumer's first interview about a year ago, I don't remember what number it was, but we'll post that link right in the show notes for everybody. Go back and listen to it. We had such an amazing time. Cheldin is my friend, my mentor, frequently my inspiration. You are the owner and the creative director and the creator of an amazing amount of magic for IG Creative. This is It TV, and your whole premise is scream your freaking dreams.
Yes. So, yes.
Without further ado, welcome back. I'm trying not to clap because nobody can see me clapping.
I know. Well, I'm so excited. Well, I'm clapping even though nobody can see it or hear it. I'm so excited to be back. I mean, you spoil me each and every time we meet, and I'm so grateful to be back on the show. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So it's been a year, and we were just before we started recording, you said and we're both in that same place where we're really growing, and we can see the goal line too. But you said you've also pivoted some. So let's dive in just briefly. Everybody has a sense of your background and who you are. Just share a little bit about This Is It TV and everything else.
Of course. So thank you so much for having me. I am the host, executive producer, and in essence CEO of a company called IG Creative. We produce the This Is It network. And so my personal talk show on the network is This Is It with Cheldin. But we also produce 14, over the course of this last year, 14 additional digital shows for influential women that are primarily based here in the tri-state area, in the area of the Philadelphia and respecting area. And so when we originally started a year ago, the focus was really about encouraging people to no longer whisper their wishes, but in fact scream their dream. And that's really my mission, my personal mission, the mission of IG Creative and respectfully This Is It TV and the This Is It network. We supply digital content that serves our community. And our community is really a community of remarkable women. And the word remarkable, is something that we've are really utilizing so much in 2020 to really focus on women that by definition remarkable means noteworthy, worthy of attention. And we believe that the women that are on our program and the women that watch our program are worthy of attention. And we're going to continue to create content for those folks. And when we originally had started a year ago, I was really just focusing on This Is It with Cheldin. It was my talk show that was on. I interviewed 1 to 3 people per day, and that was really it. And I spent the year telling these inspiring stories, meeting remarkable women. And what I found was there was a handful of women that were really interested in telling their own stories in a formal way. Being able to produce their own content. And so because I had the resource, because I owned the equipment, because it was all housed on what we were already doing for This Is It With Cheldin, I began recording and producing independent content for other individuals. What we found was that they didn't have the necessary resource, market, or audience that This Is It With Cheldin had. So what we did was we started to share not only produce their content, but distribute their content to our market. And the This Is It network evolved. It evolved in a pivoted way to say, okay, we were producing our own show. Oh my goodness, there's a need for other people to have their own shows, independent shows. Oh, how can I put all of those shows underneath one umbrella? And over the course of a year, a digital network was born. And so that has just been an amazing ride. But the pivot is real. Because now we're in an evaluation space. What is working, what isn't working, what shows make the most sense for what it is my personal mission is and the mission of the company. And, how do we control all of those things and scale? God knows if you follow Emmy, you know that she uses the word scale, right? How do we scale?
Regularly.
Right? Regularly. How do we, and I think about you, I have been thinking about you in this new year in such an intense way because how do I continue to do this in a way that serves not only our community, but also offers a heightened level of content? And so that's been our really tough scenario. But each and every day we create not only the 14 shows that are on the network, but we produce, even this morning, I interviewed 4 people here in the studio. So we're constantly creating content, again, to support remarkable women telling inspiring stories. So that's what I do. And that's where we are now with the pivot. That is pretty intense.
Yeah. So what's your biggest learning as you're pivoting and really taking in, because you've been doing this for a while, and for a while it was, you were kind of the one woman show, and now you have a team.
Yeah. And I scaled up, the biggest challenge for me, I tend to, and some of you may feel the same way, is that I tend to follow the bouncing ball. Right? Something amazing happens, some amazing opportunity. Because especially in our space, right? I'm like, there's always somebody who has an amazing thing or a new concept or something else. And especially being in the media space, I'm really being inundated with people that are always doing wonderful things. But what my personality lends to is me being distracted by those things. So one of my largest challenges, right, is staying focused, not because I don't love what it is that I'm currently doing, but because there's so many shiny objects that are like really in the distance, right? That are like, oh my goodness, if I did this, right?
Yeah. And you're creative too. So it's easy to have some of those shiny objects and then be like, oh, I can create this with it. And look how I can expand over here. And it really, it broadens your focus and your perspective and what you're offering, I think, too wide or widely.
Right. And it makes it it dilutes what it is that I'm doing. And I find that following the bouncing ball really distracted me from my core values. I mean, this year we've identified what our core value. I mean, we weren't talking in terms. I had identified no longer whisper your wishes. In fact, scream your dream. It still drives me. But from that, you still need to identify who your audience is. We identified that as remarkable women. What is your product? Inspiring stories. I didn't have that a year ago. Right? I didn't have that language. I didn't have that concentration. Once you adapt to that concentration, then you have a job to do every morning, right? Connect with remarkable women, tell inspiring stories. It's not as ambiguous as it used to be. And the challenge is staying really focused on your core value, focused on what it is that you're looking to do so you can get to your goals. But that's a challenge. And I think that not a lot of people think that those that are doing it are still challenged by it. That's a muscle that I have to train every day to make sure that I'm not following those bouncing balls and I'm not being distracted by things, right? It's the truth, that by the shiny object in the corner. Oh, maybe I should do this instead, or maybe we should add this to the roster of things in which we offer. Like, it's so easy to create layers as opposed to focusing on your core layers. And that's always been a real challenge for me.
Yeah. And well, first of all, let me ask you this. What is inspiring for you? Like
right?
what qualifies as an inspiring story?
Right. I love motivation and movement. I really think an inspiring story is what gets somebody to move or be motivated to move. And I think that some people, and even in the, there was a lot of in my mind, I challenged myself in the whole scream your dream philosophy, because I do think a lot of people scream, but have nothing to say. Right. And so for me, it's really important that the scream is based in action and intention. And I think that that's what I mean by an inspiring story, is that there is movement based on it. So if I tell the story, it encourages you to move, to do something, whether it be physically, personally, or professionally. Right. You watch a show, you watch an interview, and you're like, I want to, in simplest forms, buy that. I want to attend that event. I want to learn more about, I want to reach out to that person. I want to email that person. That's an inspiring story, a story that encourages movement and motivation. And that is what we try to do each and every day. And that's our definition of that. And that if it's not motivating, meaning if it doesn't have a positive angle to it, and if it doesn't encourage some type of movement, it's not inspiring for us. If it's just talking for the sake of talking, what is the inspiring story? Like, what is that angle? What is the call to action as it relates to being positive or creating some sense of movement?
Yeah. I absolutely love that, because there's so many people who do have inspiring stories where not only do you want to invest in them, but it's a change in yourself.
Yes, it is. And I think that people struggle, that, I love personal branding. It's part of, what it is that I offer and how it is that I work with people. And I think that so often people are focused on the product or service, and they're not focused on the experience or the personality. They're not focused on that. And they're, and that's the difference. That's the inspiring story. That's the motivation. That's what creates the movement, is you really focusing on that personality and that experience, and being able to have that shine through. If you've ever met Emmy in person, she's a movement. Right? She's a movement. Like you feel it. No, you feel it. And you know that you're there for the right reason, and you're grounded in your mission. And it forces people inadvertently to be grounded in theirs, or at least question why they aren't grounded in theirs. And that's what I'm talking. That's the inspiration, right? If you look at something, you watch something and you say, I want more of that. How do I get more of that? How do I buy that? How do I attend that? How do I participate in that? That's really where the magic happens. And we want to do, we want to do more of that. So inspiring stories is definitely part of our mission.
Fantastic. What have you had to let go of so that you can completely and solely focus on inspiring stories?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's really been, I don't know if any of you are this way. I felt, and it's kind of oddity. I feel more, I feel as if what I'm building is real the more people I have around me versus the quality of people that I have around me. So what I was doing was I was surrounding myself with anybody who would pay attention to what we've got going on, in the grateful nature of it, right? I was just so happy that people got it, or that they were into it, or they were excited about it. I wasn't really measuring the quality of the people within my huddle. Right? Within the huddle of things in which I was working on. And that is, I've let go of that. And that was an insecurity of mine. It was like wearing a lot of clothes because you were insecure about your body, right? I was insecure about what I was building. So I was surrounding myself with a lot of people, right? And that is opposed to the right people. Doesn't mean that those people are not part of our audience and our ambassador programs and other scenarios. They just don't necessarily need to be part of my intimate huddle, in which, really manages or controls the trajectory of our business. And I've let go of, not disliked and not in an angry way, just have departmentalized, relationships that aren't serving the growth of my business. That is what I've had to let go of, and not let go of the people as personalities, but just as it relates to their role in what it is that I'm building. And I think that was a hard thing for me, right? Like, cause when there's a lot of people around you, you feel as if it's real, it's happening. And so what you found yourself doing was working for all of those people, as opposed to working for your dream and your business. And the minute that I let go of all of that, amazing things really started to develop. So letting go of those was a huge but hard, but very, very hard, right? There's emotion in that, there's emotion in letting go of relationships that don't serve you any longer, or having to be mature enough to identify that they no longer serve you.
Right.
Is really, really difficult. And so that for me is what has been a real big challenge.
I think that's so brilliant, because it goes back to what we've all heard, and I think some of us really look at that more seriously. And clearly you're in that space where you are the sum of the people that you're hanging out with.
Right.
And
right.
If you've got all those people too, then you're getting all those opinions, and then there's a lot of conflict.
100%. And again, it becomes a bouncing ball, right? It becomes more of that distraction, as opposed to you really staying focused on what it is that you're building. It becomes really, really a distraction. And so, my goal is to be less distracted and be surrounded by the right people, not just all, in the intimate form, and then leave the community building to our audience and the people that enjoy the content that we're creating, as opposed to looking to take care of everyone in an intimate way.
Right. So what's your longer term vision as far as sharing these inspiring stories and what you hope to accomplish with your growing community?
Yeah, so our goal is to continue to grow as a national minority female-owned digital TV network, and really be able to tell the stories from a grassroots level up, these inspiring stories, and connecting people to a community of remarkable women, across the country and globally. And to do that, that means that we have to have our own application. It needs to live on an app of its own, where you can go and find Emmy's content, and go and find This Is It With Cheldin, and go and find really unique content, and follow the storytellers within the application. Follow these remarkable women. That's really one of the things that we'd love to do, and we're really gearing up to do. That's more of a short-term goal than even our long-term goal. Our longer-term goal is to make sure that we give various forms of content. So right now, our form of content is digital video, less than 10 minutes at a time, but we really have just begun recording independent podcasts for some of our remarkable women, recording audiobooks for some of our remarkable women, publishing books for some of our remarkable women, and maybe getting into what I would love to explore. I love the art form of documentaries. I love, films and even, sitcoms or reality program, really being a hub and a home for really where remarkable women can find inspiring stories of all kinds in all different types of platforms. So that's really our long-term goal, to make sure that if you come on to the This Is It network, if you favor audiobooks, or if you favor the written word, or if you favor video, or if you favor documentaries, that that you're going to get that content once you log on or download what it is that we're producing.
Amazing. So really, you're looking at growing a media empire.
100%. Unapologetically. And the funny thing is that 3 years ago, that would have been an egregious, kind of thing, where I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so daunting. Like, I'm building an empire. Our empire is small, but we're building it, and what that will look like in 5 years versus what it looks like today. I'm just really embracing the challenge, and I think really staying focused on our core values, focus on, really, again, remarkable women, inspiring stories, really focusing on that, providing a platform for folks to scream their dream, really being focused, will afford that journey to be more comfortable. Again, if I avoid the bouncing balls and following the shiny objects.
Yeah. So you've let go of, people that weren't serving with you in your inner huddle and everything. What else are you doing to, even evaluate whether you're starting to follow bouncy shiny balls or not?
Yeah, I think that the key in that word, you always have these trigger words that always radiate and mean so much, is evaluating. I can't tell you the amount of people that just do and don't review. Right. So I think that's the issue is it's like you're just running through life, especially in the entrepreneurial space. Like, we're just happy to be functioning. Right. Like, I can't even review it because I'm just happy I got it done. Right. But the power is in the review. The power is in, how did I get here? And that's what this real transition, this tough pivot time has been for me, because it's been like, is this, or the show that I produced last year, is that show working? Or was I just happy to have it? Right. And that is going to lead to a lot of tough conversations with a lot of talent that, that are storytellers. But is that show serving us? Like, we could continue doing it, but we need to review it. So that reviewing part, that evaluation of what it is that you're doing, is monumental in your growth. It is not enough just to do and just to participate and just to put one foot in front of the other and just to make, just to create. You have to evaluate what you have created to see if it's serving you. And our goal is to continue to do that, each and every day and regularly, and then act upon that review. So not just review it and say, okay, that stunk, or this is really awesome, we're killing it. Okay, how do we elevate what's working well, and how do we eliminate what's not working?
Brilliant. Yeah. So you're really looking at results. You're far more results driven than you have been.
100%. And in all fairness, I'm kind of forgiving myself for not being as result driven in the past. I mean, you have to do, right? You do have to do before you review, right? So there can't be just reviewing without, actually taking, all of the things in which you have built to work for you. And I think that that's really what we're thriving in right now, is like, okay, oh my goodness. To your point of building the empire, oh my goodness, Cheldin, you produce your own show, you host your own show, and you aid in producing 14 other shows. Holy cow, that's a lot. I deserve the right to review it.
Absolutely.
I deserve it. And I think that I wasn't affording myself the ability, because we're constantly on this treadmill. We're constantly, I'm going to be, and one day I'll do it, and it's not ready, and it's not built yet, and I'm not going to, I'm getting off the treadmill, and I'm saying it's built. Let's make it better, right? Because we're always chasing the carrot. It's never good enough. It's never done. I'm in the review space of like, oh my gosh, I'm patting myself on the back. I'm forgiving myself for my mistakes. And I'm saying, let's make this better. Let's make it better. Let's review it. And so that's you hit it right on the head when it's, about the evaluation. It's about that.
Yeah.
That's the important piece.
Yeah. So that'll be an obvious question, because that I'm a planner geek and I love scheduling everything. So are you schedule? Yeah, such a planner geek. Yeah. So, like, are you scheduling that time in on a regular basis, or is it something that like you moved the needle so far and then you look at what you're doing? Like, how are you doing that so you can review effectively?
I mean, I think I have to admit, it was reviewed nothing. Happy New Year 2020, review everything, right?
Okay.
Now that we've reviewed, we literally took a break, and that break was uncomfortable. That break was uncomfortable for our talent. That break was uncomfortable for, our team, or that break was uncomfortable but I knew that I had no other choice, right? I had no other choice but to do the business a service and take that break and to live in the pivot, right? What is it going to be? What is it going to look like? I couldn't pivot simultaneously. I had to be able to say, rip it off like a Band-Aid. We're going to make this move. We're going to ask for bigger and better. We have committed to being a minority, female-owned digital TV network that is going national. I have to say it out loud. I have to live it. And so there was a big evaluation. There was a big review of the do, right? Now I have to make sure that weekly we're checking in to review what's happening on an ongoing basis. I come from the restaurant world. That's where my career kind of started, was hospitality and restaurants. And we were only as good as the night's ring, right? We were only as good as the week's ring, and then the month ring, and et cetera. Like, we lived in the day-to-day, and even in the day-to-day, our profits lived in the 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. time frame in the nightlife space, right? So here in Philadelphia. So I was comfortable in my former life living in the minutia of that, living in the specific time frame in which you needed to make money. I'm taking that skill set and applying it. Like, are we reaching remarkable women, telling inspiring stories this week? Did we hit our benchmarks this week? And if I do that for 52 weeks, I can ensure that I'm following my goals and reaching, reaching my objectives. And that's what I'm committed to doing. So it took time to recap all of 2019. My goal is to do it week by week moving forward.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that because you're right. The consistency of doing it week by week
Yeah.
is going to completely build your empire.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I hope so. I know so. I know that's, I mean, this is, I mean, there's a reason why it is called This Is It, because I'm planning on doing nothing else for the rest of my life. And so, or at least my working time. So this is literally it. I'm not doing anything else.
What a great way to burn the boats, the bridges, everything else. There's no looking back.
None, zero looking back, and it's been an exciting ride, but there's been a lot of valleys to the hills. There's been so many more valleys than there are hills, truthfully. But it's about reflecting on those and having that be part of the review and having that be part of the the evaluation and what does that look like. And so yeah.
Right. Well, and I haven't talked to a business owner yet that hasn't had the valley and have that be the catalyst for incredible growth.
Yes. I mean, I'm excited for it, and we feel it now. We feel the trajectory of it now, and I'm grateful for the valleys. I mean, we're still digging out of a few of them, but the fact that we are digging out of them is really going to be the testament to the strength of the business. So.
It's amazing. So share with everybody where they can find you and how they can watch This Is It TV.
Yes. Okay. So you can find us everywhere you can find at This Is It TV. So it's all one word together at This Is It TV. We are on all the social media platforms, looking to give you as much content as we possibly can. You could also log on to thisisitTV.com for more information on the programming, the talent, the shows, and some upcoming events that we have. We love for our community to live both online and offline, so there's opportunities to do both of those things. And if you're interested in learning more about who I am, you can follow me at Cheldin Barlatt, CheldinBarlatt.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. I like, this is the first time I'm hearing the clarification of the pivot. I knew it was happening. And I'm really looking forward to everything that 2020 is going to bring for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a journey, but a journey that I'm excited for and a journey that I'm happy to be on with friends like you. So thank you.
Well, same. And to everybody who's listening, thank you for being here. It's been so much fun. I really appreciate everything that you contribute. And if you found this episode to be super valuable, do me a huge favor, because this helps us grow, and leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next week.
As an entrepreneur, do you ever feel isolated, like you're just grinding away and not getting to the place or reaching the goals that you want? Maybe you've realized that you just spent days, weeks, or even months trying to accomplish something, only to figure out that the answer that you have would have saved you all of that time. I know I've had that experience, and my clients have as well. And that's why I created the Tribe of Leaders Biz School. Get the accountability, the training, and the knowledge base in a community of like-minded people who are there to support you. Go ahead and check it out. It's thetribeofleaders.com.